Good morning, everybody. Well, I wanted to have another questions and answer video, and I was recently involved in a little heated discussion on a Facebook group about performing magic. There was a young person who said that he was new to witchcraft and he wanted to do his first ritual. How does he begin? Now, I'm a little old-fashioned, and with everything that I've been taught, I was telling him, don't do a damn thing. I was the only one in the room that was telling him not to do anything. Everybody else was telling him to go for it and telling him what to start with, and I was the one who was telling him no. Why? Because I believe that you have to have a well-founded understanding of magic before you start to practice it. And so let's go through some of these questions that I was asked, and I'm going to answer. First two are kind of to go together. Is magic difficult? Once you understand it, no, magic is not difficult. Is magic dangerous? Yes, it can be dangerous. Magic is fickle, which means that at some random point it can turn, it can change directions. So you could be doing really good on your spell work and you could be having a good intent. At the slightest bit of distraction or focus, all of a sudden that spell can turn 90 degrees, and what was working for you can work against you. So if your first spell or one of your first spells is a financial spell, you could lose focus and you could actually cause yourself financial problems because a fickle point was created and magic turned against you. I was also reminded of a story my better half told me. She's originally from California, and she was telling me how she knew somebody who wanted to have plastic surgery. She didn't think that she was pretty enough, and so she wanted to cast a spell to have plastic surgery done upon herself. Within a few weeks of her doing this spell, she was in an automobile accident and she had gotten burns on her face. To do reconstructive surgery to fix the damage done to her face, they had to perform plastic surgery. And we all know that plastic surgery does not take care of everything. And so her wish for plastic surgery actually worked against her because she did not have the right intent, focus, and thus it turned on her. The next question was, why do I spell magic differently? That is because I want to tell people the difference between what I do and what stage magicians do. David Copperfield does deception, stage magic. He uses smoke and mirrors and deceptions to make it look like he is achieving something that defies physics. Okay. What I and many, many witches do is we collect, pool, shape, energy, and direct it out to create subtle changes. And that is what magic with a K refers to. Does magic fail? Yes, it does. And there could be many, many reasons for this. If you are new to magic, um, if you are not completely into it, um, you lack focus, your emotions are getting the best of you. You can go through all the motions and get zero results because your heart wasn't in it. Another aspect is grounding and centering. If you are not grounded and centered when you cast spells, again, it's like you're out of place. You're going to have failure. Sometimes we ask for too much from magic. We are still bound by the laws of physics, and so we cannot ask for the impossible. We cannot expect a downpour of rain in the middle of the Sahara Desert. It can happen, but it is very rare. All right. Magic takes time. We are such an impatient lot these days. Sometimes we do a spell and we're expecting instantaneous results. In some situations, you can get instantaneous results, but there are more cases than not that you have to be patient. What I mean is, you could be doing a prosperity spell and you're going to be asking for the winning lottery numbers. Well, you can't ask for the winning lottery numbers on Saturday's drawing. You ask for the numbers and you will be patient about it. Magic does not work on our timetable. There could be anything that can cause the results to happen with magic. So you can get the winning lottery numbers in 2 weeks, 17 weeks, or in 34 weeks, and you better make sure you buy the tickets for each one of those events. So we have to be patient with magic. I learned from many people that when you are doing a ritual, where you write your incantation in your grimoire and such, once it's done, you put it away, you forget about it. You have released the energies, now let it happen. Sometimes we can't do that, and that will affect magic as well. Do you have to follow all the patterns like waxing and waning moon when casting a spell? No, you don't. You see, we can go against the cycles, the recommended cycles, and perform magic. You can. However, there are rhythms for a reason, and all these little things are like a modifier. If you are doing a banishing spell on a waning moon, you are going with that pattern and you might have an 80% chance of success. But if you are doing a banishment spell during a waxing moon, which is the opposite, you would have, like, I'd say, a 75% chance of success. All these little things affect the flow of energy. And magic, as I said, is about the utilization, focusing, and sending out energies. So things can disrupt the flow and thus reduce your effectiveness on creating the spell. And sometimes, especially if you are really going up against all these little rhythms, planet alignment, if you believe in that, such and so forth, you could actually be, wasting your time because you are asking for the impossible when everything's working against you. Next question is, do you always have to perform a ritual? And the answer is no. Now, I have to state that a ritual is any orchestrated spell work. So a ritual can be lighting a candle and meditating in front of it and doing a meditation spell. Or it can be as super elaborate as grabbing the coven, casting a circle, and everybody chanting a 21-line incantation. But you don't always have to do any of that. Sometimes we can just visualize what we need. One of the things that I have done and I've had decent success with is I tried to come up with a quick 3-line chant. So then this will be an ABA rhyming pattern where the first and third line will rhyme. And so you visualize what you need, and then you do this chant and you repeat it 3 times. And this is a way to do a quick spell. And then once you get done saying that quick 3-line incantation 3 times, you would go, this is the way I want, and this is the way it shall be, for I am, state your name, so mote it be. And this is a way that, again, I do instantaneous rituals, instantaneous spells. So doing a ritual, no. And I have to say this as well. Sometimes when everything is going the right way, all you have to do is say it and think it. Because like I was talking about, do you have to follow the patterns? Well, sometimes all those rhythms and all that are working with you, where even the most innocent thought all of a sudden somehow is out there and is affecting the world. Question 6, do you need all those tools and crystals? And the answer is no, you don't. When you're first starting out, yes, you kind of do, because you need your props and your tools to work as extensions of yourself. They are used as focus points, and you can thus visualize the energies moving through you into the wand and out into the universe. But again, these are just extensions of yourself. When you get familiar with magic and you feel comfortable with magic, you can go outside without socks and shoes, plant your feet in the dirt, put your hands at your side, do any movements that you feel is necessary, and you can cast a spell using just your hands. Now that is for what they kind of classify as low magic. Now if you do high magic, this is highly ceremonial magics. And so with those, yes, you kind of need to have them because it's part of the performance. It's part of their ritual. But if you are a solitary, if you don't think you need them, then don't use them. Are there instant spells? Yes, there are, as I was mentioning. Now, we can't always expect instant results. You see, an instant spell, well, pretty much all spells are instant, if believe it or not, because once you get done performing your ritual, doing your incantation, releasing your energies, it's done. Everything that needs to be done is done. Move on. So in that aspect, all spells are instant spells. What they are their instant results spells, I guess, is what they were asking. And the answer is yes, there are. A few years ago, when I was on the front porch at home, we were having a pretty big storm, and the winds were really picking up. The trees, they were moving, and it just, I got one of those low pressure headaches. And so I started to do an mental to myself incantation about moving the winds, about protecting people. I did not want anybody to get hurt or die. And I apparently did something to change the winds. Our tornado sirens didn't go off, but 3 miles south of me, a tornado went and ripped up an abandoned farmhouse. So, you know, we can get instant results in certain situations. Sometimes we don't see the results, but it does not mean that they weren't there. All right, the next question was, can you cast a fireball? We were having some condescending questions and all that because they were feeling that I was acting like Mr. Know-It-All when I was just trying to relate some general information. And can you cast a fireball? And the answer is no. Magic is confined by the laws of physics. And so we cannot have fire coming out of our hands unless we have a fuel for the fire and a way to ignite it. And so you cannot throw a fireball. Everything that you see, like on Harry Potter and all that, is BS. I was then asked, do I bind people? And the answer is no, I refuse to bind people. Now, binding is kind of a catch-22 in a lot of the Wiccan community. You see, there are many people, not just Wiccans, that view binding as kind of a shadier thing to do. Some people will classify that as black magic, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But binding, in a way, goes against people's will, and we are not supposed to cast magic against a person's will. And so, in many ways, binding is a controlling mechanism, and thus it should go against magic, some magic ethics systems, quite easily. But binding somebody is taking some of your energy and connecting it to that person to restrict them from doing a certain action. And so this is something that I never understood with a lot of the Wiccan type witches, and that is they bind anything and everything that they are opposed to. Especially, like with what happened with Trump and their mass binding spells that they wanted to do to him. Do you really want to connect your energy with that person? I don't, and so I refuse to bind people. And so you have to do the follow-up on this. Do I banish people? And the answer is yes. Banishing is to remove somebody's influence or effect on your life. And there are times in my life where I needed to get somebody out of my life, even if it's just doing the action to calm my mind down. And so I have banished people from my life. There is an easy way to banish people. And this is what I have done. You see, you grab an egg and a permanent black marker. It has to be permanent markers. You go and you take that egg and that marker and you go to a river. Make sure that it's a decent sized river and it has a good flow to it. You write that person's name on that egg. One person per egg. Remember that. And you just, you yell out the egg, take a minute or two complaining to the egg. You are putting your feelings into this egg and why you want this person out of your life. And then you toss the egg into the water. Now, two things happen. The current from the river will take the egg and it will move it away from you. Okay, so you want to make sure that the river that you throw this in is downstream from where you live. You want it moving away from your home, from you. Then, with time, the egg will deteriorate and it will decompose, it will collapse, basically it will return back to the earth. As that's happening, the connection that person had to you will also deteriorate, and when the egg is no more, that connection is no more. And that is a simple way to banish somebody. Some of the more interesting folk magic that I have studied. Now, the people that I was engaged with, they were getting a little bit irritated with me. Of course, that's why they asked about the fireball. And then they asked if I can make it rain. And the answer is yes and no. You can only make it rain in areas where the conditions are right. It's like a weather forecaster. If he goes in, central Missouri, there is an 80% chance of rain. Well, okay, the area has the acceptable means for it to rain. So then you can cast or do a meditation, however you want to work it, to create rain. So then you have moved the odds from an 80% chance of rain to like an 85% chance of rain. You increase the percentage by 5%. And that's how magic is. It's subtle. It changes the odds for an event to happen. You cannot make it rain in the middle of the desert in a heat wave without a cloud in the sky. You can't do that. You have to remember that, again, we are bound by physics, and part of that is there's got to be moisture and clouds in the area, and for there to be rain. Okay. Well, I saved the best for last. Is there white and black magic? And this is all about perception and how you want to see things. First thing you need to understand is the magic, the energy behind magic is neutral. It is neither white, black, green, blue, pink, or anything. It does not have a color. It is neutral. It is clear. And so We can use any and all energies to perform any type of spell we want. Energy is energy. What makes it a certain way is our intent. You see, if I wanted to help somebody out, let's say somebody wasn't feeling that good and they needed some healing energy, and I can do a healing ritual, a healing spell, healing meditation, whatever it is you want to call it. And by many aspects, that's considered positive. So people would say that I was doing white magic. And on the opposite spectrum, there could have been somebody that really irritated me, who done some things that hurt people, and I wanted to teach them a lesson. And so I can do a ritual spell, and decide to have that guy go through 5 months of impotence. And that's temporary harm, and that would be considered black magic. Now that is one way to describe it. Another way to describe it, magic, is left hand or right hand. Right-handed magic is what many people would call white magic, and left-handed magic is considered dark or black magic. This again is the premise that most people are right-handed, and thus right-handed is positive, and it's those weird people that are left-handed. Yeah. But the other way to look at it is we use colors to describe the magic that we do as well. If you look at the Grimoire for the Apprentice Wizard by Oberon Zell, he gave you a spectrum of magic. So like if you were into divination, you were a yellow witch. So all those people out there that work with tarot decks and all that, well, that would be considered yellow magic. All right. Alchemy is red. Beast mastery is brown. Meditation is aqua. He has a nice little list here. But that is another way to describe magic. Again, it does not really affect the spell that you do. It is simply just a way for us to describe it. It's just an adjective. So those are some questions that I dealt with a couple days ago, and I hope they help some people out. So everybody, please leave some questions down below for next week, and everybody take care. Be at peace.